And we're now going to head to Lake Stevens, where our host is Board Director Mary Taylor, who is also WASDA's President-elect. Hello, Mary.
Hi there. Oh, look at I started rolling before I was ready to roll. Technically, I'm not in Lake Stevens. Technically, I'm in Olympia right now. And actually, I love to brag about Lake Stevens, but people get tired of that. So I'm going to actually just talk about some regional early learning initiatives because we have some pretty phenomenal initiatives going on all over the state. And one of the difficult things, I think, as school directors, we're so used to having those mandates come crashing down on us that we tend to be a little reactive about the kinds of things we need to be doing with our within the programs that we're required to do, and it's a little tough to look outside of that box sometimes. But I just want to highlight some programs that people are already doing. And I'm going to give you a little bit of sort of tangible effect of what this has to do with school districts and why, as a K-12 system, which technically we are, or 3 to 21, why we need to be engaged in some of these early learning initiatives and how they can benefit us. So I have a series of, I have a little delay here, I think, with my with my slides. Okay, so I'll make a big deal out of the Infant Toddler Child Care Consultation Project because I actually manage that for our region in Northwest ESD 189. We also have, and all of these programs are programs that are going on all over the state, not just in a single location. We have ECAP, the Early Childhood Education Achievement. Our ECAP is our preschool program that's in most of our elementary schools. We have Head Start and Early Head Start. Early Support for Infants and Toddlers is actually an early intervention program by referral, and we get a lot of those referrals through early childhood programs within the communities. My other guys aren't coming up here very quick. There's WAKIDS we talked about a little bit, the P3 Literacy Alignment Project. iLabs at University of Washington, producing a lot of brain research, the David Madison Foundations in Literacy, Ready K programs that came out of some awesome work in Richland and Kennewick, Starting Strong Institute that's held once a year, Love Talk Play that's come through Thrive by 5 and Department of Early Learning, Play and Learn groups that Sue spoke about a little bit, Educare, also Sue spoke about a little bit, Early Achievers program for child care providers, Reach Out and Read, which is a program provided by a nonprofit organization that helps doctors utilize books to do child assessments at well-child checks. So I'm going to show off this slide for Northwest ESD because this is a good illustration of the kinds of collaborative efforts that are going on producing great results for early learning programs. Northwest Early Learning is the coalition that happens to be in the Northwest Educational Service District in 189. A phenomenally collaborative group of a whole bunch of the same people wearing different hats all the time and doing the heavy lifting. And you're probably familiar with that in your school district. The same thing is true in the early learning community. The Washington State Department of Early Learning, of course, and Thrive by 5. And there's a little bit of rearranging going on there, but still working really well together. So, oops, there's a little delay, so I keep skipping ahead. All right. And so I have this slide to illustrate. We have a whole variety of programs, and these are just a few of them listed. Head Start and ECAP we have a little more control over because they're very carefully structured programs, as well as early intervention because we're working really strategically with school districts to help children with developmental delays if we can identify them early enough, which is of course always better. We also have licensed child care providers that are working in a variety of ways, from the Infant Toddler Project to the new Early Achievers program, and a myriad of other opportunities for them to engage. We have co-op preschools and faith-based preschools. We have all sorts of private and nonprofit organizations. We also have care through family, friends, and neighbors. So these are a huge range of experiences that young children are getting regardless of where you live. And And all of those programs, right, just feed into that local school district. So we know that we can look at, we have Head Start and ECAP, and we have some co-op preschools, and we have the Lutheran Church down the street, and we have all of these organizations, and they all feed conveniently into the school district in our community. So we can look around and say, oh, this is who's in our community. Let's send, you know, let's collaborate with these people within the school district, and it'll just be a straight shot, and all of our children are coming nice and ready to roll into kindergarten, and in reality it looks more like that. So none of the children necessarily that are in your preschool program down the street or in Head Start or ECAP or any of the variety of other experiences that they have are necessarily going to filter right into a single school district, right? We have people who stay with grandma and mom drives them 20 miles up the road in order to stay with grandma, and when she starts school, she's going to start school at her home. Or people moving around anyway for a variety of reasons. We don't just have a straight shot into school districts so that a school district can reach down the road and recognize that what their child care down the street is offering is what's going to happen in their school district. So we've really got to look at a concerted effort to partner broadly with all of these variety of programs that provide support for children and families and be very intentional about how we work together. So that presents all sorts of difficulties, of course, because you can imagine the range of experiences in training and opportunities that people want for their children and how that feeds in. So one of the things that I want to talk about is the way that some school districts are moving to build connections between the early learning community and the school districts. And this is a program that was created by David Madison. It's having phenomenal success in school districts, not just in Northwest DSD, but also in other areas in the state. I think David was down in Chehalis on Monday because I ran into him at the hotel here in Olympia. So, and this just gives us a little bit more of a tangible look at why this matters, why specific approaches matter, and how a unified connection between early learning communities and school districts can have an enormous impact. So this Foundations in Literacy program is a P3 program in that it's used P as in prenatal, although we're obviously not doing too much writing when you're a newborn, but it's used for very, very young children, all the way up to 3rd grade. It's a continuum of literacy development that's a really great tool, and I wanted to give you something a little bit tangible to hold on to with this. I'm going to play this short video clip for you, and then I'll fill you in a little bit on the details. So, wake up, you, David. There we go. Oh, thank you, whoever did that.
What's the big idea of reading? Reading for meaning. We don't start at the words and letters and sounds. In writing, we start with the idea of we have a story to tell, and we're going to draw a picture to tell the story, and then we're going to think about words. When we're learning to read, we start thinking about meaning making, we start thinking about what that looks like in the pictures, and then we move to words. It's about the big idea before I ever get to small things like letters and sounds and words. I start with understanding first. This is how we get kids with drool coming out of their mouths, because they spend too much time not getting what we're talking about if they don't understand words or letters or sounds, and we're trying to get them to go ba, 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 ba. They don't quite get what we're trying to do. That's like moving below the line before we've spent time on top of the line. Comprehension, comprehension, comprehension. Comprehension is why we read, it's why we write. And then developmentally, our thing is to be this far ahead of them, moving in a direction that is set by the district, set by the state, set by Head Start, federal government. There is some place they need to be. And I think This is where it gets, I think we're fooling ourselves sometimes that we have the luxury of time. I'm here to tell you, we do not have the luxury of time. We do have the luxury of thinking developmentally about how we're going to get our kids to where they need to be.
So I realize for people who aren't doing early learning work, this is maybe more than you wanted to know. But realistically, the really important components of what David Madison is talking about here in this video is that traditionally from a K-12 perspective, we're very academic. And we know we've set these academic goals, whatever they are and whatever acronym applies to them today, and we're looking at where these kids need to be at this point. Early learning traditionally is much more a developmental approach. So early learning providers and people who study early learning are looking at how we scaffold learning in order to allow kids to get to where they need to be. And it's been an interesting tension with the K-12 system really sort of forcing that academic approach down low and that developmental approach from the early learning community coming up to meet that. And as we begin to really integrate our resources and do some parallel professional development, we're really starting to see that there are some great benefits from that cross-training, that cross-pollinization, if you want to talk about it that way. And tools like David Madison's, we call them yellow books, and basically it's the paper that you remember with the big old chunks of wood in it that you had to write around in kindergarten, only it's on nicer paper now. But it had a space at the top always for a picture and a space underneath for writing, right? The lines underneath and the picture, open picture space on the top. And so this tool, it's a very simple tool. As I said, we're using that from very young children in preschool all the way through 3rd grade. It's a great continuum of development because we can start with the very simple notion of kids being able to tell a story, reflect that in the picture, and then develop that as they get a little older and they begin doing more writing. And of course our pictures get a little smaller and our writing gets a little more significant. So this is just an overview of the parallel professional development that we're doing that takes the early childhood folks and the district folks, and they end up doing this professional development in a way that really integrates what they're doing and affords this incredible cross-pollination. It allows people to really scaffold what children are learning according to wherever the child is at the time. And it's a pretty spectacular thing to watch. There are actually, I have some more videos with some awesome, adorable, cute little kids who are doing this professional development, and I showed remarkable restraint by not putting them in this presentation and making it last a really long time. But it's some pretty amazing stuff to see, and I'm happy to provide some information on the website that you can go look at these films that gives you an idea of how we're working within the district community and also among the child care community and the district as partners in this learning. And that collaboration piece is really key. And I just want to show you AJ's picture that he did, and this was his first experience with the literacy training. And as you can see, he had a story to tell that was pretty good. You know, you can see the smelly stuff down there by the witch. I went to the witch's house with me and Kathy. I was scared. Oh, with Miss Kathy, I was scared. And so, you know, you've got the illustration of the witch's house and the kid and labeling everything, which is also pretty fun. But it's really developing an understanding of what that writing means. What's that writing about? It's not just blah, blah, blah. It means something. And it's really, really fun to look through the yellow books and then layer them up as far as the development goes, so you can see the really early learners, and then as they begin to get into school, of course, and their writing becomes really theirs, and they're doing their own writing and you really see a pretty phenomenal change occur. And I'll just give you this because this is AJ. And so I did slip in one little cutie from my school district, shamelessly using a cute little kid to promote my cause here. So I'd be happy to answer any questions anybody has.
So Mary, could you describe to us how long this parallel professional development has been going on, and kind of expand a little bit on the results you're seeing?
Yeah, actually, it's different time periods in different districts. Lake Stevens actually was kind of a latecomer to the party. We have Everett School District was doing great things for longer with the P3 project, and a few school districts further north up in Whatcom and Skagit counties have also been doing this longer. What we're seeing really is that the being able to scaffold the developmental pieces a little bit, and I just want to stress that this David Madison's literacy project is, just one component. There are a lot of strategies that people are using to collaborate within and among the early learning community and begin that conversation so that there's a real common language. And aside from seeing kids better prepared, when they come in, as far as, people wanting test scores and data and such, what we're really seeing in a lot of ways is the ability for early childhood folks to know what the K-12 system is looking for, because for a lot of early childhood providers, they'd love to know what to do, just like parents. They'd love to know what to do to support their children's learning, but it's a little tough unless you have, a really tangible piece, or you have this background in education. What exactly should I be doing? And we know, we need serve and return. I need to talk to my kids and let them respond and develop the skills that way. But specifically, a tool like this is something that both early childhood educators and the K-3 teachers are working on, and you literally are handing this record forward to teachers who can see, oh my goodness, okay, well, I can see that this child isn't quite there yet with this particular skill, and be able to build on the needs of each individual child.
Oh, that's great. We have another question for you, Mary. How are you staffing these collaborations, the training and outreach programs, and how much do you budget for it? I don't know what the budget is. For our program in Lake Stevens, we've only been doing it for a very short time, and I really didn't get budget numbers for the other work. A lot of the work is a collaboration through the ESD, so the training has been managed through ESD 189, and I know some of the other ESDs also are doing the training there. And we've had, some of it has been grant funded. Wow, I don't know if anybody's on the call who has connections with Everett School District. That might be, they might be the people to ask. I apologize, I don't have a good answer for that question. The upfront investment, of course, as a little plug of an early learning program like this, of course, pays out really dramatically in the less need for remediation and special education and other intervention services. But I can't tell you exactly what it is cost-wise. I know it's pretty nominal in our school district, but it's also pretty new in our school district. Yes, yes, and actually that cost savings on remediation later on, it's a significant amount of money, actually. Mm-hmm. But Mary, we have another question. Does Lake Stevens partner with all their local preschools and child care providers in their schools?
Well, we have a couple of different things going on in Lake Stevens that have created some pretty good partnerships. One is the Ready K program, which is actually run by our Education Foundation, and an arm of that is a very driven former teacher who took on as her passion, and we created an Academic Beginnings for Children program, and that's run by our local Ed Foundation. and they have written grants for Ready K. That program actually has a lot more flexibility to reach out to the early learning provider communities because they don't have any kind of mandate about dealing with licensed child care providers. And many of the programs that are run, for example, the program that I run out of Anacortes is the Infant Toddler Child Care Consultation Project. And so we're reaching out to providers who serve vulnerable children and infants and toddlers. And of course, all of those programs are licensed providers, the programs that we can work with under the requirements of our grant. But of course, there are many, many infants and toddlers who are being cared for by family, friends, and neighbors, and other resources. So they wouldn't be licensed providers. We wouldn't be able to reach them that way. So that's where the play and learn groups come in that Sue was talking about. We have lots of play and learn groups in our communities, a wonderfully structured environment that provides great support not only for helping parents recognize what kinds of things that they can be doing to support their child's learning, but just also the anchor for parents, particularly vulnerable parents within a community, so that you have other people to help you recognize that, wow, this is hard, and there are things we can do to make it easier and better, and other resources and support out there. So really, a variety of these programs provide just a range of resources to young children and families, and that in itself can be a great support for making sure that children are ready when they get into our kindergarten classrooms.
Oh, that's great. Now, we did have a question that I'm going to put forth, not to answer right now, but it may be of benefit to our listeners and other board director colleagues if we could find out a little bit more about the funding streams behind these partnerships from each of the school districts involved, and the cost out of your operating budget and those things, and about sustainability too, perhaps. So that was actually our last question, Mary, and thank you so very much.
Well, thank you.